Some Chinese veterans question call to return to service if war breaks out in Taiwan Strait. For years, Beijing has promoted a simple message to China's military veterans: when called upon by the country, they are expected to obey. Under the People's Liberation Army's revised military regulations, which took effect in April 2025, the formal retirement oath concludes with the line, "If there is war, we will return when summoned." The slogan echoes Beijing's warnings that the communist regime does not rule out the use of force to achieve what it calls national reunification with Taiwan. However, among some Chinese veterans, the sentiment rings hollow. A recent viral video shows a retired serviceman stating, "12 years in the army, my original aspiration unchanged," before performing martial arts moves with a broadsword. The clip received mixed reactions. Some praised his patriotism, while others questioned the mental health of veterans. Behind the online debate lies a deeper issue. Many Chinese veterans recently told the Epoch Times that the benefits and job placements they were promised never materialized. Several Chinese veterans spoke to the publication on condition of anonymity out of fear of reprisal. Disgruntled veterans. An army veteran from Sichuan province, who served for 8 years before leaving the PLA in 2016, told the Epoch Times that he did not receive a formal job placement upon discharge, despite long-standing policies that, in theory, prioritize veterans for state sector jobs. Since that time, he has been employed in construction, manual labor, and most recently as a security guard. He mentioned that he is divorced and facing financial difficulties. When asked whether he would respond to a military recall if the Chinese Communist Party decides to invade Taiwan, he said, "I'm already middle-aged. I won't go. Let those with government jobs and benefits go. They're better off than I am." His comments indicate a subtle but growing skepticism among some veterans about calls for renewed sacrifice. During this month's Lunar New Year holiday, traditionally a festive time, various incidents involving veterans emerged across China. A retired serviceman in Guangdong province posted a video on social media criticizing the regime's holiday gift pack for veterans, which consisted only of printed propaganda materials and couplets, not the financial assistance he had expected. Another video shows an elderly veteran climbing a tree outside a petition office in Beijing's Fengtai district on February 9, seemingly attempting to commit suicide as an act of protest. In China, petitioning is an administrative procedure for hearing complaints and grievances from the public. Still, in practice, the petitioning process is merely a formality, as the regime routinely dismisses petitioners and often persecutes those who protest. One such incident involved Suo Rongmin, a PLA Air Force veteran discharged in the early 1990s. He alleged on social media that he was retaliated against after petitioning authorities about veterans' rights. Suo claimed that he was poisoned while traveling in Guangzhou in 2025 and has filed police reports, but has received no substantial response. Now residing in Guangxi, he said he cannot afford medical treatment. The authorities have not publicly responded to his allegations, and Chinese state media seldom cover veteran protests unless they are portrayed as resolved disputes. Past veteran protests. Large-scale protests by veterans in China are not new. In 2016, thousands of veterans surrounded the Central Military Commission headquarters in Beijing. Similar protests also took place across the country in 2018. Beijing responded by creating a Ministry of Veterans Affairs in 2018 in an attempt to enhance benefits, followed by new legislation in 2020 that aimed to formalize these benefits and protections. Yet economic headwinds, including the COVID-19 pandemic and mounting local government debt, have strained public finances. Zhang Heli, a Chinese veteran living in exile in New Zealand, told the Epoch Times that the ministry's establishment was motivated both by concerns over stability and welfare reform. He explained that local governments sometimes provide only limited compensation to certain veterans while suppressing others who organize collective petitions. Although the mass mobilizations of 2016 to 2018 have not been repeated at the same scale, smaller incidents continue to surface online, including sit-ins and protest marches by veteran petitioners. In December 2025, a violent confrontation occurred between police and family members of veterans at a military housing residential complex. A November 2025 video from Yunnan province shows an elderly militia veteran who served during the 1979 Sino-Vietnamese conflict kneeling before officials to request a modest monthly subsidy. A viral video from Jiangsu province, posted in June 2025, features a veteran at a train station shouting, "Joining the army was a mistake. Joining the Communist Party was a mistake." The Chinese regime typically responds by engaging in local mediation, providing limited compensation, or imposing oppressive measures to prevent demonstrations from spreading. Corruption investigations and military morale. Amid the plight of veterans, the CCP continues an expansive anti-corruption campaign within the military and civilian bureaucracy. In late January, authorities announced that Sun Xiaoqing, a senior official who previously led the Ministry of Veterans Affairs, was under investigation. Insiders have previously revealed to the Epoch Times that the internal purges have affected morale within the armed forces. Zhang, the Chinese veteran now in New Zealand, noted that how veterans are treated also sends a message to active duty personnel about their own futures. He said that many soldiers privately express gratitude to veterans who push for benefits but feel constrained from speaking openly. China current affairs commentator Li Lini told the Epoch Times that CCP leader Xi Jinping has recently intensified purges within the military, including the removal of Zhang Youxia, the former vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Li pointed out that these actions have unsettled morale among the armed forces. Li concurred that the bleak circumstances many Chinese veterans face could also affect active duty personnel. The Chinese Communist Party is simultaneously blocking the spread of such negative information domestically and using nationalist messaging to strengthen ideological indoctrination among soldiers, he said. Zhang noted that despite the CCP's long history of ruling through deception, he remains hopeful that both current and retired military personnel will recognize the regime's falsehoods and propaganda. He advised against supporting what he described as an evil authoritarian regime, emphasizing that real progress for the Chinese people will only occur once the CCP collapses. Ning Haizhong and Gu Xiaohua contributed to this report.